warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, hello everyone. My name is Arthanan and my student number ends with the digit of 087. And by this stage, I would like to explain to you guys about my chosen article review due to fulfill my critical reading classes assignment. And as for my chosen topic, it is Nurmala Dewi, Eva Zarawi, and Mifa Eka Sri Sulistiawati's The Implementation of Google Classroom in Improving Students Reading Comprehension at Manpat, Jakarta. And then also about the article and the article profile. So, as for the article title, it is the same as what I've been mentioned in the beginning of my presentation slides. And then also about its authors, it consists of three authors. So, the first one is Nurmala Dewi, and the second one is Eva Zarawi, and the third one is Meva Eka Sri Sulistiawati. And then also, as for the name of journal, so actually, this is the journal where you can find this article in the form of journal. So the name of the journal, it is Lingual Journal of Language and Culture, Volume 9, Number 1, May 2020. And then also the date of this article is being released is in the 21st of May 2020. As for the pages, so actually you can find this article in the form of journal at the Journal of Lingual Journal of Language and Culture, Volume 9, Number 1, May 2020, in the pages of 21st until 26. And then also about its volume, it is Volume 9. As for the issue 1, and then also as you can see, this is the provided link to access this article. And as for the keywords, it consists of 4 keywords. So the first one, it is reading, the second is comprehension, and the third is Google Classroom, and the last but not least, it is technology. So as for the author, so this is the author's profile. So the first author, it is Nurmala Dewi. So Nurmala Dewi is a senior lecturer at Universitas Bina Sarana Informatika. Her research interests in arts, humanities, education, and language, and linguistics, communication, and media. And as for the second author, it is Eva Zarawi. So, Eva Zarawi is the writer of this article. Her research interests in arts, humanities, language, linguistics, communication, and media. And then also the last but not least, it is Meva Eka Sri Sulistiawati. Well, Meva Eka Sri Sulistiawati is a senior lecturer at Universitas Bina Sarana Informatika. Her research interests in arts, humanities, computer science and IT, control and system, engineering decisions, sciences, operations, research and management education, electrical and electronics engineering, language linguistics, and communication and media social sciences. Well, and to begin with, so I would like to introduce you to the 4 things that we are going to discuss. So as the first one, it is the introduction, and the second one, it is the method, results, and the discussion, and the third one is conclusion, and the last but not least, it is its overall statement. Well, so let's get started. So introduction. Introduction is where the topic or problems being investigated and the thesis statement or the aim of the writing. So as you can see, this is the introduction part. Well, also I include the screenshots of its parts. So actually the article focuses in the practice of the technology for the back and forth of the learning and teaching process has now become a common thing for an educational institution and often succeeds in its way to changing the old tradition of learning activity. In the article, it is mentioned that using a different kind of technological tools is also already conducted since its beginning in order to make it much more simplified, creative, and more variative learning process in an attempt to encourage students to improve themselves in this modern era. And the highlighted old tradition during the teaching and learning activity in Man 4 Jakarta which has existed for a long time, is the use of computer for an exams activities such as computer-based tests, as for what we know as CBT, and then also national final examination, as for what we have known as UN, and then, however, whereas only about 50% of students can face this kind of test. The student finds that it is quite challenging, which it means that the teacher should give more attention to how to develop students' reading skills, which may help them in doing such tests. And then also, as for the second discussion, it is the method, results, and the discussion. So actually, this part is where the process or the procedure on how the authors find their way to get their answer regarding what they are trying to explain. So as you can see, so the first thing that I am going to discuss about the second part, it is its methodology. So the article mostly talks about how things that is so virtually like Google Classroom may influence students to help them improving their reading comprehensions. Also, to test how convenient Google Classroom is and to consider how could Google Classroom being able to take over the students' comfort in their teaching and the learning process. So the methodology applied in the observation is using a mixed method. So mixed method is actually including both quantitative and qualitative methods, which are conducted among 27 students who were in grade of 11 in Madrasah Alia Negeri, or as per what we know is MAN 4 Jakarta. So actually there are three cycles of its process, namely the cycle 1, the cycle 2, and the cycle 3. So the cycle 1, it is a learning reading by using a traditional class, where students will be conduct its learning activity in the classroom. And then also about the cycle number 2 and number 3 and cycle 3, it is the same. Both it is learning reading by using the Google Classroom features. Then, after the author collect all the data itself would be compared between using Google Classroom and being in the actual class. And also, in attempt to find it how useful Google Classroom is in the learning process, another data is obtained in the several interviews with both students and teachers, and after that, the authors will receive students' feedback by the field questionnaire about how they perceive Google Classroom, what benefits that they got, and then also beside that, the author also used observation to complete the data on what obstacles they were facing by using the features of Google Classroom. So to continue, we're going to moving in the next part. It is results and the discussion. Well, to achieve the author's intention, many attempts have been provided. Using both quantitative and qualitative methods, the authors wanted to find out whether there is an improvement of students' reading comprehension by using Google Classroom or not. So the session of those three processes are included in the provided tables on the shown results. The provided table itself, it is divided into two kinds of tables. So this is the tables which I mentioned about. So as you can see, so this is the table 1, which include a student's reading comprehension scores, and then also the second table, it is students' average scores of reading comprehension. Well, as you can see, during the cycle 1 until the cycle 2, it is a much more significant progress experienced by the students. So let's take a look at the example of the respondent number 10. So the respondent number 10 received the score of 66 in the cycle 1, and as for the cycle 2, the respondent number 10 received a total score of 78, which I think that it is quite effective, by the using of Google Classroom. As we can see, the students experiencing some progress due to the students' reading comprehension. And then as for the cycle 3, I think that it is the same thing as the cycle number 2. And then, in my opinion, I think that the reason why the teachers conduct a second attempt of the test of Google Classroom, I think to test about how is the progress between the experiment between the first attempt until the second attempt. And then also about the average scores, as you can see, as for the cycle 1 until the cycle 2, it shows that the students receive a or experiencing a progress. Well, based on the given tables, it can be seen that the difference of the student scores indicated that using Google Classroom can improve students' reading comprehension, although the given data that are listed on the table are deemed sufficient to answer all the progress experienced by the students of Mat 4 Jakarta, but that is not enough. To ensure that the student is really progressing, the author also presents a complete data related to the student's development by presenting a variety of students' interviews and questionnaires. Also, the authors give interviews and questionnaires for the teachers as well to play the role as the collaborators. And despite of its capability to help students to be able to develop their reading comprehension, some of the students find themselves biasing on having the learning activity in the traditional classroom rather than using the Google Classroom itself. Regarding the some of the students wishing that they stated that if teaching and learning activity is getting held in the traditional classroom, they will interact with the teacher and their friends directly and much more easily. Asking a question if they do not understand the material, will be much more simple. And if they require an additional material they need it will be much more effective or simple. And furthermore, behind the success of Google Classroom features itself, in terms of maximization of its attempt to escalate students' reading comprehension, several obstacles have occurred in Mat 4 Jakarta, which is the main point of these problems is none other than its equipment or tools to support the activity to being able to conduct it in a convenient way. Not only its device availability, but the weakness of things like an application features is also an obstacle since students cannot hear the material properly and to recognizing words and spoken expressions as an interaction between the teacher and the students verbally. In fact, by using Google Classroom, these shortcomings is also happens whenever they use it. So the next thing it is conclusion. So actually conclusion is where the part consists of what's new insight or discoveries have reviewer made in relation to beliefs and values. Well, the article concludes that the practice of Google Classroom as a learning support to improve students' reading comprehension can be considered it is quite worthy because of its effectiveness. Based on the given significant results of the student score, it can be seen that the student's reading comprehension has been keep progressing from one cycle to another. However, despite of its effectiveness, it cannot be denied that the obstacles come along with this process. Problems such as unstable internet connection and unskilled human while operating the system are also happening in the process. However, behind every obstacle that occurs, the implementation of Google Classrooms is often considered as an interesting and quite fine for the participants. So the last thing that we're going to discuss it is overall statements. So actually overall statement is the part where the summary of the article and its finding consists of overall strengths of the article and what impact it might have. So actually the provided statement from the article is about a hesitancy towards Google Classroom capability to being able to help improving students' reading comprehension. Well, in an effort to explain the every detail, it is felt that the authors have provided information which is considered sufficiently detailed about the data provided. However, in an effort to explain the every detail, it is felt that the author has provided information that is considered sufficiently detailed about the data provided. However, when in an attempt to review it, the one detail that was considered minor, but I think that it is quite influential in the informativeness of this article was found. So actually, I was reviewing this article, I kind of found a minor thing, but also it has the influential informative. So actually, the namely information itself, it is about the observations about the interviews and questionnaires given to the students by the teacher and the others. So as you can see, this is the problems which I have stated or what I meant. So as you can see in the methodology, it speaks about the observation, it speaks about its plan to having a interviews and questionnaires, but also in these things I think that I found it is left me clueless because I want to know about what is their questions going to be when they are asking the students and what are the results of the interviews. But however, in the article it did not conclude this thing. And then also, as you can see, in the next chapter itself, I mean, like in the next page, it speaks about the observations again, where it makes me wondering, or it left me clueless to, I'm dying to know about what is the authors talking about. And then also about the grade level itself, as you can see, this is the problems that I found that I didn't know what it means. And this thing is did not, it have not the explanation to it on the article. So I think that the author should include this kind of information too. And overall, this article is really informative because of its disclosure of an information which is getting described as a whole. In addition, the use language, it is also understandable for the reader to understand what the authors were aiming to, and also the provided writing style is really straightforward and simple, which is really comfortable to read. And to recommend this article, I will definitely suggest other readers to have the experience to enjoy a brilliant writing like this. So I think since like we reached at the climax of my explanation, I would like to say thank you and stay healthy and stay safe. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.